Hello, this is Mike, and welcome to PHP Programming Video 67. And that day has finally arrived. We're going to finish our Flash Builder program today and start programming Facebook next time. We're going to show you how to play videos and actually download content. We're going to set up some Flash Catalyst code as well. So let's take a look at the program that we've been working with. And last time we actually learned how to transition between states. We go between different states, and we actually populated those boxes with XML that's been parsed. And as we move back and forth, we see our XML is coming in. And what we want to do today is actually roll over here, click, and play a video, or download a lesson. In addition, when we go back and forth between home and other buttons, we actually want a nice little fade transition, and we'll do that using some Flash Catalyst code. So if you click on the list box right now, nothing happens. So let's take a look at the methods we're going to need to make our list box active. Let's go to source code. So we're in Flash Builder, and we actually only need two methods to make our list box active, and that's a list change handler for box 1 and a list change handler for list box 2. And all it is a navigate to. So in this particular example, we're just going to populate another HTML page and play the video in it. Now we can run it inside of Flash Builder. That's an upcoming lesson. I'm going to show you how to actually run YouTube inside of Flash Builder, but not this time. We're just going to show you how to basically bring a blank page up and populate that blank page with a YouTube video. I'm going to use a URL request. So the name of our list box is my list, and whenever you select an item, it just brings a .link. Now, where does .link come from? It comes from the XML. So let's take a look at the XML one more time. So here's our XML. We're going to scroll down to lesson 1. We can see in the downloads we have the item. So everything that is in the item is actually populated in that list box. In this particular case, we only have two items, a label and a link, and the link is where the downloads are. And when it comes to the videos, we only have two possible items, a label and a link, and one is a label and the other is where the YouTube video is. So if we go back, we have to realize that all of this runs on the list box asynchronous view, and when that's populated, everything in that item is populated. You could have 100 items in there and it be populated, and the way to bring those items out or to the stage would just to use .selected item, .link, or whatever the name of that XML tag is. So you're only using two items here, but you could have 100 and just basically call that by using the whatever the name of that XML link is. Just want to make that point clear to you. I'm going to do the same thing in the next list handler, and that will work for the next list. So with that done, let's go ahead and put that into our list box. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to Design View. You know how I do this. Click on the My List Box 1. Let's go to Source View. That's where it's at. And let's put a click handler in there. So what I want to do is I want to go to my list box. And in this particular case, we're looking at My List. And I'm going to put a space in here. And I'm not really looking for the click handler. You might think that. But actually what I'm looking for is a change handler. So whenever I change something I've clicked on, then I actually want this method to fire. So I'm going to click on that. I could generate some automatic code, but I've already copied in my clipboard the code that I've created previously. This can close that. And so what's going to happen is when I've changed what I'm selected, so I'm actually roll over and click on that. When I change it, then it will run the navigate to URL. Now you might get an error, and it may be because you haven't included the import index change event. So make sure at the top of the program that you have that import, that Spark import events index change event, so now you can actually work with the index box. So let's run this and see if we can play video. So here's our course. Let's go to lesson 1 and click on this and see if video plays. And you can see that takes us right to YouTube, and we're playing our video. Fantastic. Okay, well that's the first list box. Let's take care of the second list box. So let's scroll down. So once again, we're going to use this change handler 2 for list box 2. And basically it's going to run the navigate to URL request, bring up a blank URL, and stick whatever I've clicked in on, the URL or the path to that particular download in this case. So let's go ahead and copy this name. Let's go to the second list box. Let's go down. Once again, we're just going to open that up and put it, not a click, but a change. Because basically you want it to fire whenever you change what it's selected. Go ahead and paste that in. Make sure you close it. Now when we run that, we should actually download something. So let's run this and see if we get a download. So if I go to lesson 1, for example, and I want the code, I could click on that, and you can see the zip is ready to download and be downloaded to my computer. So wow, fantastic. Now the last thing I want to do is add some Flash Catalyst code and get some transitions here. So when I go between these two, this doesn't look very attractive. I'd like a fade in and fade out. Now that is all basically done through Flash Catalyst code, but I'm going to code without using Flash Catalyst. I've done so much Flash Catalyst in the past, I don't even need it anymore. I can just code. So I have a little piece of code here I'm going to in a sense, open it up, talk about it just a little bit. And if you want to learn more about Flash Catalyst, get the program and start playing around with it. Just download the beta. And that's so great about Adobe that you really play with the real stuff. It's not a limited beta. It will actually save code and you can actually use it on the web. So the way this Flash Catalyst works is basically it's put between two transition tags. And then you have smaller transitions that you can group together, and you can run many transitions simultaneously using these parallel tags. So in this particular case, I'm just going to transition between home and class 1, and when that happens, I'm actually going to run the method fade, and it's going to fade whatever I have in the curly brackets here, which will be my text. And so the front panel will fade out. Now when I transition from class 1 to home, going back the other direction, then I have several things I want to fade out. I want to fade the list, I want to fade the panel, and I want to fade the title. And using this, I'm actually going to get a fade in and fade out. Now, this is really cool, and there's a little bit of work you need to do here to learn how to use this type of code. But what I want to show you is even cooler. If I roll over this and click on fade, it's actually going to bring the code up for the fade class. I could write my own effects classes, and that's what's so cool is Adobe is allowing us to take a peek at their own code, so actually use it and modify it and actually make it better. And that's why this is such a great project. That's why I love Flash Builder so much. So become aware of the different Flash Catalyst transitions, and if you want to know more about them or what they are, there's another way you can get a peek at that. I would go to Import, Spark, Dot, Effects, and just go ahead and put a dot there. And when you do that, up comes a number of the classes that you have available to you. Look at that, all those 3D classes, Move 3D, Rotate 3D, Scale 3D, I mean, it's all there. So, and once again, when you click on that, you can actually go to those and look at those classes and see how they're built and build your own classes. You're going to need to do that, and we'll be covering that in upcoming lessons. So we've put our transitions in. Let's go ahead and run it and see if it works. And here you are. Let's transition between state 1 and 2. There's a little fade there. See how it's fading back and forth? So it looks a little bit more attractive. It's not perfect, but it's good. And so we're finished with this. We're ready to bring this into Facebook. And so next time we'll actually do that. Let's review what we've done so far. Today's lesson was pretty easy. What we did is we looked at two new methods. We had a list change handler, basically called a blank URL to the stage, and we could play a YouTube video in it or download some code. We put that in our asynchronous list view box, and when we click on it, it fires. And we did not use the click event, but we used the change event. Finally, we actually came along here and we used a little bit of Flash Catalyst code, your first introduction here, to create some nice little fade transitions. And pretty much from this point on, there's more you can do to it to refine it, but we're ready to go to Facebook. So let's build our first Facebook application next time. Thanks for listening. This was Mike Lively.